with 48 of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your host, Jason Freeman. I'm on a mission to help you turn that which you find awkward and imperfect to your benefit. Today, I'm so excited to talk to two amazing guests. We are going to talk about purpose, love, and growth, and just moving forward with it all day by day. So stay tuned, and someday I'll do this seamlessly, but not today.
Today's guest, Isabelle and Margarita.
Okay, let me tell you about today's guest. Isabelle Mercier-Turcotte, and she just told me twice how to pronounce it before the show, and I don't think I did it right. Anyway, Isabelle is the co-founder and CEO of LeapZone Strategies, and one of the most inspirational branding, marketing, and customer experience keynote speakers. Isabelle is a no-nonsense dynamo born to catapult passionate entrepreneurs and thought leaders to build businesses and brands designed to make life better. That's a beautiful sentence. As one of North America's top business influencers, best-selling author, two-time TEDx speaker with over 2.7 million views, and TV host, Isabelle brings over 25 years of branding, marketing, and customer experience expertise. She has helped thousands of business owners, thought leaders, as well as some influential and iconic brands like E&W, Robeez Footwear, Earls Restaurants, IMAX Corporation, and HSBC Investments, just to name a few. Isabelle teaches how to grow businesses and brands that are designed to thrive in any economy by becoming and remaining the first, the best, or the only. I love that. Isabelle is partners in love, in life, in work, in play, and in growth with Margarita Romano. In her magnificent best-selling book, Margarita, Sitting on the Fence, How to Love Without Limits, Margarita writes, at the heart of every one of us, we all want to be loved for who we are and not judged or expected to be who we are not. Margarita is co-owner of LeapZone Strategies Incorporated. She is a certified equine facilitator coach, helping heart-centered entrepreneurs and couplepreneurs connect the dots to lead spectacular lives driven by heart and soul. Please help me welcome Isabelle and Margarita. Yay!
Yay! And you did my name very well. That's perfect.
Yeah, oh gosh. Well, I'm probably late.
That is a long introduction. You did well.
Yeah, it was great.
So where are you both hailing from this morning or this afternoon? Not morning.
this afternoon.
We are in Nanu's Bay in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yes, at my office at our retreat center called Trailblazers. So it's a beautiful, beautiful place where we have our horses and our herd, our kids, as we call them.
I said Vancouver, but I meant Vancouver
Island.
Island,
Yes.
yeah.
Vancouver Island. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful property. And this is where the magic happens.
How many horse kids do you have right now?
I have 4 right now.
Most people say 3.5 because we have a mini.
Yes.
One of them is a tiny little thing.
Oh,
Big
wow.
spirit, but small in size.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, sweet. So when you both met, you probably didn't think that you would have the life you have now.
No.
No, not at all. In fact, when we first met, I had a boyfriend. She had a boyfriend. I had no inkling that I was going to end up with a woman. You at all. I mean, she had been approached by a couple of people before, and she was very clear that that was not for her. But for me, when I met her, in my mind, I thought, I will marry this woman one day. Now, I didn't even know that gay was a thing or being in the same sex marriage existed even, because I come from a very small town in the Quebec province. And I didn't really know anything about that, except that when I met her, I never really believed in love at first sight. Well, now I do.
Yeah, we're actually celebrating our 30th year together as a couple. Yeah, this year.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So 2 questions from that. How small was your town in Quebec?
You know, my God, initially my first town in Quebec probably had no more than 2,000 people in it.
Wow, it's small
town. And then we moved to a little bit of a bigger town, but it's a very small community. And yeah, I mean, you fart and everybody knows,
That's for me. I was born in Montreal, so it's a fairly prominent city in Quebec.
And lots more
yeah.
culture. There's culture in Montreal. I'm not saying there's no culture in Quebec, but where I grew up, it was French Quebecers, white people. There was very, very little differences in culture. Whereas when I met Margarita in Montreal, the first year of university, well, there was a lot of cultures that I had never even seen or heard about when I moved there, which was beautiful. I learned a lot.
Sweet. So let's talk about the first time you met. How did that go? Yeah.
Oh, it went so well.
Go ahead. Just go start the story.
Okay, here's the scene. We were at an orientation meeting in our first year of university together. And it was in a program called Design for the Theater. And we were meeting with the dean of the department to hear about our course load. And he was explaining how, you have to take certain number of courses, blah, 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 all that stuff.
So pretty typical beginning of the year meeting.
Exactly.
Typical.
It was typical until she walked into the room. and she just blew the lid off the whole show. So we're all sitting around this big table because he's talking to the table, and she walks in last, which is so unlike her. Like, she's the one that's always at the front of the class with the hand up, and that, like she's the eager beaver. And this time she walked in last because, anyway, the whole scenario of her being there was very last minute. So she walked in, she introduced herself, she said hi, and she sat down. And you could clearly hear that she had a very, very, very heavy French accent.
Just as a parenthesis here, which was very French. If I listen to some of the tapes and some of the recordings of how I spoke at the time,
that just tells
what
it
did I
all.
say?
No.
Oh,
but the fact that we
I know.
tapes.
Tapes. I can't even understand what the hell I was saying because my accent was so thick. Anyways, okay, go ahead.
I just another parenthesis.
Okay.
I sometimes have that with myself too, Isabelle. I
Yeah.
can't understand what the hell.
Oh my God, you're hilarious. I love you. Oh,
Yeah, so it was an English university. I should say that before I continue. So it was an English university. She walks in, clearly French, and the dean starts giving all of the information that he has. And within 20 minutes, she's like, and she has a question after a question after a question. And she's asking them in French because she doesn't have the language for
I don't
English.
speak English, and I'm in an English university.
And the dean, unfortunately, was not bilingual. So they were really not understanding each other. And I didn't know it at the time, but none of us around the table were speaking up. And for everyone around the table, it's because they didn't speak French, but I did. I'm bilingual as well, but I was extremely shy. So it took me the 20 minutes to finally get up the nerve to just say, hey, I'm bilingual. Like, can I help you guys out here? Right. But that was huge for me because she came in like a powerhouse and I was like, ugh. So it took a lot for me to say that. Well, as soon as I spoke French so she would understand me. And she just looked at me with daggers. And she was like, you mean to tell me that you've been sitting there for 20 effing minutes and you haven't said a word? Like, she was appalled.
I couldn't believe I'm not shy, evidently. So for me, it wasn't even in my awareness that someone could be so shy that they wouldn't actually speak up to help someone. And that was just my lack of awareness and understanding. You know, it's not like I was more sarcastic going, what? You could have helped me in minute one.
No, that was not sarcasm.
To me, it was sarcasm. To her, it was a trigger.
You were like not happy. Anyway, but that was the first communication between the two of us.
And then I fell in love.
Speaking of confidence, foreign language just intimidate many of us, including me. So Isabelle, how did you feel that you could just jump into an English university, not speaking a lick of English?
Today I called this stupidity. Then I called it being ballsy. I don't know. You know, I've always wanted to learn English. It was, first of all, as a French that has two solely French speaking parents, the law in Quebec makes it that I was not allowed to go to English school because both my parents spoke French and were French.
Went to French school.
The law. There's a law.
So it's law 101. And I always thought that was ridiculous. I thought, why would I not be allowed to learn and grow if my parents did not have the opportunity to do so? And so to begin with, I had fire under my ass because I really wanted to learn English. I knew that my work, intuitively, I knew that my life and my work were going to be in English. And I just really wanted to learn. And I thought, what better way to learn than to throw yourself in it? So that's what I did. And she became my best friend, my translator, my confidant, my eventually, partner.
I was so good at translating everything for her in those 3 years in university that she got a higher GPA average than I
did. That's right. That's how I roll.
I found that very highly unfair.
That's so inspiring. So many people, myself included, sometimes say, I want to do something, but I don't know how. So I'm going to spend a lot of years thinking about wanting to do it, but not do it. But you're just like, I want to speak English. Throw myself into a university who will teach me to learn one way or another.
Yeah,
it's true. And actually, Isabelle very much has that outlook on life. There's not much that stops her. And that's one of the things that I was drawn to right away when I met her, because that was so different than me. You know, like it took me 20 minutes just to even say, hey, hi, I speak French. Can I help? You know, like, whereas she's like, yeah, I'll just throw myself into an English university and I'm sure it'll work.
See where the chips fall. But I have always had this, I mean, not to say that I don't worry and that I don't have lack of confidence. At times it happens to me regularly. What the difference is, it doesn't stop me from doing what I want to do or what I think is right. And I remember, I'm dyslexic as a human being, and I remember in school we had to write a paper about audacity, and it was a 30-page paper about audacity. Oh my God. I mean, to begin with, you know, I thought I can't even write 2 pages about audacity, let alone 30. And I thought, oh, this is going to be the end of me. So I decided to show audacity instead of writing about it. So I decided to do something very unconventional. And I will
Surprise.
share. Surprise. That's right. I'll share what that was a moment ago, but I sweated because we had a month to do it and we had to hand it in, and very, very close. I had already made my decision of what I was going to do. Hang on what it is. And then at some point the teacher says, you know, it's, that paper is going to count for your whole semester. And that he said that just
your grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Your whole grade of semester. And then he said that just a few days before. And then I thought, OMG, I am screwed. Because here's what I did. I took a bunch of paper, 30 pages. I numbered, this was time of typewriters, right? Numbered all the pages. Cover page said Audacity is ... I gave 30 blank pages numbered. And then on the last page, I said ... this. Audacity is this.
Talk about early branding brilliance, my God.
Let me tell you though, I thought it was brilliant until he said this is going to count for your whole semester. And then I went into this shitting my pants, truly. I'm like, oh my God. And then I spoke to my mom, and my mom said, well, you need in life, Isabelle, when you make decisions like that, you need to commit. If you were to dive from 30 feet, you know, you wouldn't dive, launch, and then uncommit.
And then try to get out of it.
That would be really hurtful. You know, so she's like, you know, you got to own it. You got to commit, and you got to go in at Judgment Day, the great day. You got to go in with owning it. Otherwise, you're not going to pass your semester. And the doctor, I was going to say, the teacher gave the papers with the grades with everybody. And then I was the last one. And on my paper, there was an A+, a G-, there was a Z, I'm assuming. Like, it was crazy. There was all the letters. And then he had me stand up and debate it. Tell him why I did what I did. And then he gave me my grade after. All of that to say, I'll spare you more of the details. But by nature, I'm someone who is audacious and ballsy, to sometimes a detriment, but you know, that's another.
And what was your grade?
A+. Yeah, it was A+. He said, he knew me. He said, Isabelle, I know how agonizing this must have been for you, so you deserve it. He was right. Yeah.
I feel so privileged because that story is not in this wonderful book. So
that's right.
Got a unique story that I hadn't heard yet. So you two fell in love in college, and once you fell in love and knew, did you just say we're in love and then you told everyone the next day that hey, we're dating, and hey?
2 years. It took 2 years before we told a soul.
Told no one. I even had
what were those 2 years like?
Hell.
There was a journey in the 2 years. Like,
it was hard. It was hard.
In the beginning, we were just thrilled to have found each other, and it was everything was news. I mean, that's like with any couple.
Very exciting, you know, forbidden,
and it was hidden, and it
perfect,
was,
right? Woo, very exciting.
And then it got there was a strain. Like there was a strain.
Well, you know, there was guys after her, guys after me. we weren't doing anything outside of being with one another. So at some point, a strain is mildly putting it, I feel.
Well, it began with a strain, and then it just became unbearable. We were arguing all the time. Because it was just, we couldn't be ourselves. We were living this kind of hidden life because we wanted to be absolutely sure that we weren't just like a university experience, that we were actually the real deal. I knew before going through the whole process of sharing that with family and friends.
And I knew that our parents were going to think, because we're in art school, we're artists. So we knew that our parents were going to think it was a phase, So we thought, okay, we'll wait. After 2 years, this is hardly a phase at that point. At that point, we've decided to commit to one another.
And also at that time, this was the very early 90s. It wasn't like it is today either.
No.
A lot has happened since 90.
Yeah, a lot.
So
on good stuff.
And we felt like we needed that time, that cocooning time, to get ourselves ready for whatever happened. Like if everybody we loved chose to up and leave us because they didn't agree with us, then we had to be ready for that.
Yeah.
And that felt like that might have been an actual possibility to you, huh?
Oh, for sure. At that point, we were sure that we were going to lose some really great souls in our life. And we were afraid of it. And we were delaying the inevitable in our world. That's how we saw it,
In that time period, I even had my best friend at the time come out, and he was telling me he was gay. And I couldn't even let him know then. I wasn't ready, that was an interesting experience for me to be like, why can't I just let him know? Like he knew her, he thought she was my roommate, it was interesting.
So how did your family surprise you?
Go ahead. Do you want to?
Well, for me, it was, I'm half Italian, half French. And so that's very Catholic. And I was concerned about, I knew like deep down, I had a feeling that eventually my parents would be on board. I never thought that they would totally reject me. I just didn't know what their process was going to be.
Yeah.
And my brother, he was probably the most important conversation for me because I knew that if he supported me, I could get through all of it, and he did. He instantly supported me.
Yeah, he was like, oh, good, happy, great.
Yeah,
let's talk about something else.
Awesome, glad you're happy.
Yeah.
Like it was a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
But we as a family, once that immediate family knew, we had decided together that we weren't going to tell my Italian grandparents, because they're very traditional. They always asked me, do you have a boyfriend? And by that they meant, do you have an Italian boyfriend? Like it was very, tunnel vision. So
I am many things, but an Italian boyfriend I am not.
No, right? So, and they met her. Like I'd introduced her.
Oh, we were best pals.
And she brought out a really good side to my grandparents that we didn't even bring out. Like she could joke with them. Could, and it was fun to see them laughing all the time. And so I was like, I don't know, do I want to potentially ruin that, right? And then one day, my grandfather, of all people, approached my aunt, who's my dad's sister, so all on the Italian side, approached my aunt and said, he was like, are Isabelle and Margarita together? And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, together, are they a couple? And, and she was quiet. And then she thought, I'm not going to lie to him.
Yeah.
And she just went, yes, they are. And he immediately turned around to my grandmother and went, you see, I told you so. And then he said, we had that in our day too.
Yeah.
And he was great about it till the moment they left this planet. They were great about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you had your grandmother.
My grandmother was very helpful to my mom, her mom. My mom is also very, very Catholic. She worked in a very public job. She was a hairdresser, so she was always with people, and it was a journey for my mom to accept that. She always said to me, "You lied to me for 2 years." I said, "I never lied to you. You never asked the right questions." She was asking me. She always
There's
said,
a difference.
"Yes, there's a difference. Do you have a boyfriend?" The true answer is no. Had she said, "Are you in love?" I would have said, "Absolutely." I could not have lied to that, So, mind you, I was playing on words here, but at the end of the day, that's the truth. And when I told my mom, she was shocked. She didn't really see it coming. My mom reacts to things often she gets a migraine and gets sick. So she had her own process, but I will tell you, it didn't take very long. I mean, she accepted us to a certain degree. She was always very kind to us. I mean, she's never been rude.
No.
The first Christmas, she said, "I hope you're going to come for Christmas, and I hope that she's not going to come," something like that. She didn't say that in front of Margarita, but I was like, "How would you feel if I said to you, come over for Christmas, but you can't bring your love? You can't bring your love." I mean, that's ridiculous, Mom. I remember her saying as well, "Oh boy, Isabelle, I wish you loved with a man." And I immediately, pretty witty, I immediately went, "Oh God, Mom, I wish you love with a woman." And she's like, "You can't say that."
Pretty witty. Pretty witty.
I'm like, "You're missing out. If you haven't tried that, you're missing out." But anyways, she was like, "You can't say that." I'm like, "Yes, I can. If you can, then I can." So we've had amazing conversations. We don't agree on everything still today, of course. And there's still things that she will say that I'll go, "Wow, I can't believe that's come out of my mom and the way she thinks." But I respect her. And she respects us. She loves us. She can't even imagine us not be together.
But your grandmother initially helped her get through it.
Yeah, my grandmother just put some sense into her. And I didn't expect that. Now that surprised me, because my grandmother, even more Catholic, even more
I don't know why we
strict.
assumed that the older generations were going to have more trouble with it when they were like just it was like they were so open about it.
When you get older, there are less things that used to matter and that used to be so sticking and that are not anymore. My mom, even, I spoke with her yesterday, and she was like, "You'll see, Isabelle, that because I'm about to enter the big 5-0, and she was like, "You'll see, thank you, yeah." You'll see, it's great. The older you become, the wiser you become, the less things bother you, and the more freedom you feel. And I'm like, I'm ready for more of that.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Nice. So this leads to a segue I hadn't thought of, but by hearing you say all that, it occurs to me that a lot of businesses, especially a lot of solopreneurs or small businesses, are kind of in the cocooning phase, and it's hard for them to like come out and shine that light. Why do you think it's hard for some business people to be like, "Hey, here I am. This is the good I offer"?
Yeah. And you can add to this thought. It's a lot easier to sell a product than a service to begin with. And I'll get deeper than that in a moment. It's a lot easier to sell a product than a service. It's a lot easier to sell someone else's product or service than your own. And then it's easier to sell a product than a service, even if it's yours. But as soon as it's you and it's your service, and it requires you to step outside of your comfort zone to really shine, it takes a lot of guts. It takes you, it takes clarity, it takes guts, it takes courage to stand for something that some people may love and some people may hate. It feels naked to do that. And that's what basically we teach people, to really step into their own confidence and their own badassery, So that
Badassery.
badassery, right? Do you want to add anything to that? Or?
Yeah, I think that's a big piece is a service is, I mean, service or product, you have to show up. Like in a service, you're selling what you can do, right? With a product, you're behind the product. So you're still needing to show up.
Correct.
And people, and this is where the work with the horses is really helpful, because when people are required to show up in a way where they can confidently do what they need to do, it brings up all the things that you've experienced in your life, or the feelings that you have, or the limiting beliefs that you hold. It brings those up to the surface, because all of those things want to come up to stop you, right? And you, generally as people, that's what our head allows to happen, right? And so it's, go ahead.
Of course, without naming names or giving any details, can you give a more concrete example of like how working with a client and a horse can help the client move past
Yeah,
barriers?
I can. So the horses basically reflect the energy that's in the space, because they communicate through energy. They don't have words. They don't have a language. The language they have is energy. And so, and what's cool with them is because they're so sensitive and intuitive, they reflect the energy that they're seeing or feeling in the space. So when I bring a person in the space, they're reflecting that energy, and their behavior is what I am an expert at in reading. And so their behavior gives me information as I'm coaching the person. And so when somebody shows up, for instance, recently I did a session, a person showed up and they have just started a new business, and they are not, they're holding themselves back, and they know it. They're like, why am I not just going for it? Why am I not fully embracing this? This is new. I know this is what I'm meant to do. This is where I'm. And through working with the horses, we were able to go back to specific things that happened in their childhood that make it that they're still carrying those experiences today, and that affects their behavior. So for instance, this one person had a stutter when she was a kid. And she carried this, she still, even though today you would never know that she had a stutter. The energy, so physically it's gone, but emotionally it's not.
Ooh, physically it's gone, but emotionally it's not.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that is enough to stop somebody, right, from doing anything. And so through what the horses were doing, they actually showed her that she is not what she has created in her mind to believe she is. They were showing her who she is in her heart, in her body. They were reflecting the leader that she is, but that she didn't really know she could be. And so to see that in the horse's behavior actually was helping her to release, first of all, realize that she had these beliefs going on, or this residue from that experience. And it's allowing us to move forward in, okay, how do we release that stuff? How do we embrace who you're being shown you actually are, right? So that you can show up as that person.
And I will add to that, because even as my own experience, you know, as a dyslexic human being, as you can know, many years ago, I was ridiculed, I was bullied, I was all of the above because I couldn't read out loud. I was asking so many questions in class because I can't read the board. I don't know what's written on the board. So till this day, reading out loud makes me want to crap my pants. I literally, no, honestly,
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I know how to write. I write really well. And all of that to say that, as soon as I'm asked to read out loud, I panic, and then I don't know what's going on, and I become someone else that a little girl that's being bullied in that moment. So to have horses really reflect a lot of that energy for me to really realize what's going on and give me some tools through Margarita to really bypass that. This is why my first TEDx was so difficult for me to do. And I literally did not want to do it because I had to write a script, learn it, and deliver it by heart. I mean, that's terrible.
In English too.
That was the least of my worry, the English, but yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Think of the growth in that. Like, you came to college not knowing a lick of English, and then by the time the opportunity for a TEDx talk came, English was the least of your worries.
Yes, because
So
I had bigger worries to worry about, like all the crap from my childhood around reading, learning, writing. That was hell.
wow. Oh, you too just do not believe in stagnation.
That's correct. That is not a word in our vocabulary.
It hasn't been our experience anyway.
So, what would you say about like sometimes that the thought, like, I go to college for a certain thing, and so I must do that and follow that path. So, what would you say about how love and purpose intermingle to expand each other? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So
Good. That barely made sense to me. So
well, let me show you that I think I can make sense with all of this.
Okay.
So, I mean, to me, life is a bunch of experiences, right? We go to school, we choose a path, we're young, we choose a path. I wasn't meant to. I was originally going to go in dance. And had I
no way.
Correct. I was a dancer and an artist, and literally I was going in professional dance and jazz and modern and a bunch of different methodologies. And then I had an accident and I broke a leg and I could not dance for a long time. And so I, diverted.
It was more than a broken leg, but
yeah, I mean, it was an accident that just wiped me out of that particular path. But had that not happened,
was this in high school at some point?
yeah, in college.
Oh,
in Quebec, you do high school, college, then university.
Yeah.
And so it was in her college years before I met her in university.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But had I not had that accident, I would not have gone to Concordia. I would have gone to Concordia, but I would have done in dance instead of in theater, set design and scenography for theater and film. And that's where she went. So we would never have met. So to begin with, I feel like, and do we do set design now today? No. But has that compounded and helped us in being the best that we can be in our work today? Hell yeah. We have aspects of our school, of our learnings that all compounded to make us even better at what we do today. And I can't even imagine not having these experiences and do the work that we're doing. Right? It all adds up.
I think even though, a lot of people that I meet are like, they have this degree and they're like, I don't use it. I don't like when I was back in school, the joke was if somebody ended up in political science, it was like, or that was like ending up in, what was the other
philosophy.
one? Philosophy. That's it. Like philosophy and political science was the people that didn't know where they wanted to be. Yeah. But really, like, having gone through these experiences, even if you come out with it, like we both have bachelors in fine arts because of our studies and our degree there. And even though we're not designing for the theater, everything that we accumulated in those years, including meeting each other, is cumulative. Like you bring it with you and
invaluable.
it all gets used and experienced, even though we're not in theaters doing sets and costumes and lighting.
Yeah, that's right.
So are you almost saying that we don't lose parts of our lives even though we're not on the
Yeah,
track we'll eventually be on?
and most of the time, when, let's say, even in a car ride, you want to go from point A to point B, the road, suddenly you take a wrong turn, and then there's a beautiful pathway. There's a great road by the ocean. You go to a restaurant where you meet amazing people that become lifetime friends. That was part of the detour. It wasn't part of the straight path from A to B, right? So it's to remind ourselves that, including me, I'm not above any of this. She's not above any of this. We think about these questions all the time and think, was that a waste of time? Like, a lot of people say, what do you regret, Isabelle? I don't believe in regret. I believe that we make the best decision in the moment with what we know. Of course, 3 years later, easy to say, well, I could have done that differently. Well, yeah, you have 3 years more experience today. So of course, but I don't believe I have zero regrets for me at all.
Thanks for setting me up, Isabelle. Speaking of detours, I can't resist. Can you tell the story of your last day as a security guard?
Oh my God. Yeah, that was crazy. So when we moved to Vancouver from Montreal, I still wasn't fluent in English, let's put it that way, but I spoke better than day one. That was 3 years later. But so we moved to Vancouver for the theater and film industry because we are set designers, which didn't last very long.
We had our degree.
Yeah, yay, congratulations.
Another great story we can tell at some point around how I screwed that up for us. But anyways, but so we work at Canada Place here in Vancouver. It's a beautiful place by the ocean, and it's a convention center. There's conventions that we become security guards just as a simple job so I can continue learning English, learn about this beautiful city, meet a bunch of people. We had a chance to work together. So I don't know how many years this happened.
It was a good entry job to the city.
It was a good entry
job. We just finished school, right? And moved. So.
Yeah. And so this just to show
moved across the country, basically.
Totally, exactly, right? So before we find ourselves some jobs in our field, we thought, you know what? We need to work. It might take a little while before we pierce in this crazy
film industry.
Yeah. So anyways, one day I had enough. I mean, one thing after another. I'm skipping a bunch of hoopla. But that day I was accused, because there's cameras everywhere. We're security guards and ops control.
Wait. I need to set up. We're in what they call the cruise ship terminal, which is like the underground level of the building.
It's freezing.
And it's full of Christmas trees because there's a Christmas fair happening. And so it's full of different decorated trees, and people can walk through and look at the trees, and it's beautiful. But at night, they put security guards there to guard them, to guard the trees.
There's nothing happening, but we need to guard the trees.
So one night, Isabelle and I are on duty on that floor.
So it's in the middle of the night. I'm super cold. We're not allowed to wear our bummer jacket. Is that it?
Oh, that's miserable.
It was miserable.
Yeah,
so
it was not fun, and we had to keep each other awake. It was like overnight.
He wasn't even there, and he already knows it was miserable. You're right. On top of being miserable and us taking our job, we always take our job seriously. We always do the best that we can. And in the morning, early morning, I hear on the intercom, Isabelle is asked to ops control. I'm like, well, that can't be good. I don't know what the hell did I do, but anyways. So I go to ops control, and then I get accused. And apparently they have footage of this, which of course, impossible.
Which you never saw.
Of course, they don't have any, but I was accused of vandalizing and climbing the Christmas trees. I mean, I thought this was so ridiculous, Jason. I was like, fuck this shit. So I started getting undressed because, of course, you're like polyester up to here, right? So I started getting undressed as I was walking to the locker. I said,
in the hallway.
I'm the hallway.
Dropping her clothes as she's going to the bathroom.
And so my boss comes. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, This is me quitting." He's like, "You can't quit. We need you. You're the best one here, like along with your honey." And he was afraid that he was going to lose 2 great employees in one day, right? Because she could have easily followed. But anyways, she would have had we been able to, but we couldn't. And one of us had
I
to.
was still guarding the Christmas tree.
Someone had to.
Someone had to. And so he says, "You can't quit." I said, "Yeah, watch me." So I literally got undressed in the hallway. My clothes was all around. And it wasn't for like awesome sex opportunity here. It was like, gross. I'm wanting to go home. So my clothes is on the floor. I get dressed. I cross the street. I literally left. This is how I left that job. I'm like, oh my God, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. So I go across the street. There's the EI.
Yeah.
And there was a little computer there. I looked for a graphic design job and I applied that minute. And literally a week later, I had that job, the other job.
Because she has also a degree in graphic design, which is what she did in college before I met her in university. So she was able to apply for that.
Yeah, but yeah, that was me quitting dramatically.
And the graphic design job led to a business in graphic design, which you both did. So the act of saying no more to guarding Christmas trees really opened up your life. I mean, how could you give up guarding Christmas trees?
I know,
Oh, come on, man.
It was really fulfilling a purpose.
It was ridiculous. So literally that's what I needed. In that moment, I needed that stupidity for me to decide that was enough. And so I did. And then I became the senior graphic designer at the Francophone Center at the time. And then from there, we started our own branding agency. And, we had at some point 22 employees, and we sold that agency in 2015.
No.
2005. Correct. 2005. I knew there was a 5 somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then, we traveled the world for a year, and then we started LeapZone, which is all about not repeating what we didn't want, right? Carrying what we wanted in the new business and leaving what we didn't want, and creating a better business for ourselves and greater impact for our clients. We are alone. I'm assuming that Jason will be back. Oh, maybe I could tell the story that what story was I going to say? Just a minute ago, I said, well, that's another story that I could tell. Oh my God, just before the tree. Oh, how I screwed up the film industry for us.
Oh yeah.
We were asked to, I don't even know if we're still live, but I'll say we are.
I think we are.
We were asked to be part of a movie. And as we don't start right away in set design, obviously, we at some point, we have to climb up the ladder. But anyways, we were asked to go and be assistants to a movie in North Vancouver, which is a good 45 minutes away in a car to get there. And they said to us, you need to be there within 10 minutes or we can't have you work. I'm like, well, I will be there, but it can't be 10 minutes. It's humanly impossible, even for someone in your town, to get to you in 10 minutes. And so over a 15-minute conversation of ridiculousness I'm like, well, now there's 7 minutes left. So obviously we need to hang up and I need to get my ass in gear here. And she says, well, if you're not here in now 7 minutes, you won't be able to work on this job. I'm like, well, I don't have a chopper, but I'll do my best. And she was so rude. I just said, you know what? How about you just get rid of our name on that list, because this is ridiculous. And then I hung up, and then Margarita's like, you just screwed our whole chance to.
You just trashed
the
fact that we moved across Canada and came here for the film industry because we just spent 3 years studying to work in the film industry.
That's right.
You just trashed it on one phone call.
But you know what? I mean, it was ridiculous. And now, mind you, T for Turcotte, R for Romano. We were at the bottom of the list anyways. And this is what's the company? Like
a union.
A union. It's a unionized organization. So it would have probably taken 10 years, right? So we took a shortcut of let's start our own thing in the meantime. Eventually they'll get over themselves, and eventually we got over ourselves. And you just missed an amazing story, Jason.
We are
We held grounds for you. We held grounds for you.
We shared another.
Thank you. I made that mistake three times of not plugging my computer in when I do this. Hopefully next time I'll remember.
Okay, well, no problem. We added a story. You'll have to watch your own show to get the story.
That's awesome. So speaking of mistakes, perfect segue. I created the perfect segue. How do you two approach when a mistake when you make a mistake? Like do you just quit and go, oh my gosh, I made a mistake?
There's probably a variety of reactions to that.
It depends on the mistake.
It does. And I think for me, anyway, over time, I'm learning to react less and take the time to respond instead. I own up to my mistake, and I try not to be so negative towards myself, because Isabelle and I have extremely high standards. Like, ask anybody who works with us. We just do. And so it's very easy, and there are plenty of opportunities to get down on ourselves if we don't meet something in some form or way, right? So I really, I really try to be gentle with myself and to take the time to look at, okay, this happened. Not a big deal. It happened. What can I do to not allow that to happen again? And who do I need to talk to either own up to my mistake or correct
Make
something?
It better. That's one thing, is we're very good at learning from our mistakes. In fact, sometimes it's not even a mistake. And we're like, okay, this was clunky. What can we do better next time? To a point where sometimes it's actually quite exhausting. Like, we're like, okay, can we not today try to make something better? Can we just be? But truly, when let's say a client or a prospect discovers something that's not working somewhere, or they're disappointed about something, we literally own up to it, as you said, and we actually fix it. And then we let them know, thank you for letting us know that, because as a result of that, here's what we created to alleviate that in the future. So, that's in business. And then when it's a personal mistake, I mean, one of my coaches always says, great, what's going to be the gift in that? What's the learning in that? And so I think when we're able to less react and more ponder around what can we do proactively, I think it becomes a lot easier to actually go through the shenanigans and the disappointment of a mistake or of a mishap,
Well, you turn it into a benefit when you take the mistake and create a learning opportunity with it.
Right? Yeah. You turn it into a benefit.
Yeah.
I love talking in my business about the power of doing our imperfect best, and it sounds like you're really talking about that, kind of like you both believe in doing the best as a couple in your business. But when an imperfection happens, you use it to propel yourselves to be better instead of to stop.
Yeah, and I mean, we do have our moments of fuckity fuck. Like, I mean, there's moments then you're like, God, come on now,
Or especially when you get a series of moments.
Yeah, you're like,
the hits just keep on coming. There are times where I need to just take a breather and be like, okay,
enough.
What? Before I do something that I may regret,
yeah,
even though we don't have regrets, I think maybe that's why we don't either, is that we do really try to come at everything in our lives with purpose.
And as authentically as we can. I have many tattoos, but one of them says, happiness is when what I think, what I say, and what I do are in harmony. And I can't say that I'm 100% all the time with that, but I strive to be. I strive to be as honest and transparent and authentic. I try to say what I mean and mean what I say, and you're the same.
Mm-hmm.
So perfect segue again, Isabelle. You're making my job so easy. So tell me about units of happiness and how do we notice units of happiness?
Well, you know what? This theme all started on our year off. And on our year off, we sold our business and then we took a year to travel. And then we wanted to create a beautiful book of our memories and experiences and photography and a coffee table book, which we designed together. And it was all around, how do you measure a year? And the answer to that was in units of happiness. And so it started that way. How do you measure this moment? How do you measure a week? How do you, in units of happiness? So we became purposeful at collecting more units of happiness. And it allows us to focus on what's good more than on what's bad, because it's very easy to stay in the screw up or in the difficult moment. And so this requires a lot of work. This is not for the faint of hearts. It does require a lot of work. And I think if we think that life is like a sky, a sky is made of blue patches and clouds and rain and snow. And so that forms a sky. A blue sky from wall to wall, ceiling to floor doesn't stay all the time. So what I try to do and what we try to do is, instead of every time there's a cloud to go, there's a cloud, we try to go, there's a cloud, and that means the next blue patch is close, right? So,
or how do we create a blue patch in the cloud?
Blue patch in the cloud, right? So so it's about seeing and creating moments of happiness, which we call unit of happiness, and we collect them.
And I think a lot of the units stem from being present, because when you're present, you're fully in the moment. And when you're fully in the moment, you're enjoying what is. It's not about worrying about what's to come or having feelings about what is past. It's really just being in the moment. And that's where happiness is. Happiness is in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you two so much for creating a unit of happiness on the Awkwardly Awesome podcast. This has been such a joyful experience. Before we go, how do people who are like, oh my gosh, Isabelle Margarita, I need your help with my business, I need some horse time. How do people connect with you?
Yeah, we have a very comprehensive website, leapzonestrategies.com. And we're both also on social media, fairly active on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, both Twitter. Margarita Romano, and Isabelle Mercier-Turcotte on social media. LeapZone is also a hashtag or some channels for us, as LeapZone is our company. So we definitely would welcome conversations, soulful conversations, and understanding what you may need in your life and in your business, so that you can become the first, the best, and the only, and kick some butt.
Sweet, awesome. Well, I could talk to you for like the next 5 hours, and we'll keep discovering new stories, and it'll be so fun. But thanks so much for just blessing Awkwardly Awesome podcast with your wisdom, and thanks, Margarita, for, every time I sat down to read your book, sitting on the fence, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just like so much love and joy in it. I just loved it. And, is your book on Amazon?
It is on Amazon, actually.
Oh, wow. Fancy that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's actually on the
So-
homepage, on the homepage of our website as well. At the bottom, there's a shortcut there for you.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So thank you.
Well, thank you both so much.
You're so welcome. Anytime, we would love to come back. You are awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Yay!
Yeah.
Hip, hip, hooray. Actually, to be technical, Isabelle, I'm ugly awesome, but that's just a technical. Cool. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Okay, you bet. Bye.
Oh my gosh. I love what I do. What they incredible. And thanks so much for tuning in, and tune in next week for another spectacular guest. And thanks for being you, and thanks for all you do, and yeah, and here's the ending. Note to self: work on your segues to the intro and outro, Jace. Okay, someday, it's a goal. Okay, here it is.